Welcome to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sports.
Welcome to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sports. This is the #1 place for all your fantasy content. We do the research, so you don't have to. But wait, so you don't play fantasy? We have you covered with all your F1, IPL, and UCL content. So head on over to the Fantasy Pavilion YouTube page, like, subscribe, stay connected with us. We have all the content you're looking for. Fix that team though, and do better. The last year it was a little shaky. But this year we're doing better. We're doing better this year.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sport. F1 is back and is back with a bang. We have 3 straight GPs, so action after action after action. But of course, before we dive into all that, we'll take a quick look back at Canada, the exciting race that Canada gave us. Of course, no big changes up top, but there was some great racing and some great podium finishes. I'm not alone. I'm joined by Lewis Hamilton fan, Mercedes fan, maybe soon to be Ferrari fan, maybe, we're not sure yet. But big up Michael. Michael, what's going on, bro?
Good night. I'm cool, bro. I'm cool.
But I know after correct that, right? You were always a Ferrari fan. They said most people, you always say that, most people who are F1 fans
all F1
Ferrari.
fans are Ferrari fan, whether in secret or in openness, but everybody's a Ferrari fan.
Right. So of course, let's take a quick look back at Canada, Michael. So what was your thoughts? Was this one a really good race for you? Was it exciting for you? Talk to me, because I know people after Monaco. So what's your thoughts of Canada?
I found Canada to be really entertaining. The race itself was excellent. The performance of the drivers, it was beautiful to see the competitions that we had. You had Lewis and Russell fighting at one point, trying to chase down. I think it was Norris. I'm trying to pull up the results quick. Because it was a really great race, and the guys just went at it, and it was nice to see them back at Canada. Canada is always an interesting, fun race, so it's always a race that will deliver. So yeah, the final order of Canada was Max in first, Lando second, George third, Lewis fourth, Oscar fifth, Fernando sixth, Lance seventh, Danny Rick eighth.
Whoa! Don't rush it. See, I always say that with some. Don't feel any slide there. I always say that with some gusto. Say that with some gusto there.
Fernando Alonso sixth, Lance Stroll seventh, Danny Ricciardo 8th, Pierre Gasly 9th, and Esteban Ocon in 10th. I don't know why you're clapping, because Esteban don't have a seat for next year.
There you go. That's all right. We will come something. You can come on the field for the one, right?
Yeah, but no, it was a good race. I didn't get to catch the whole thing,
right.
But the parts that I did watch, it was Neil Biden coming down to the end, because I really thought Lewis could have sneak and take third place, because the last time.
Okay, see Michael froze up there a little bit. All right, so while we're waiting on Michael to come back in there, I guess this internet giving him some trouble. But I'm very happy with this top 10. Of course, as we know, our good friend Daniel Ricciardo got a, what to say? Not tongue lashing, but really harsh critique leading up to this race. And I'm very glad he was able to be in the points and still show people that he has it with the Honda. Of course, must have to big up all these guys here: Alonso, Stroll, Ricardo Garcia Ocon have not been having the best of starts to the season. Right, Michael is back. Yes, Michael.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I think the last time, what I was saying, the last time George was behind Norris, who had Lewis behind him, he ended up in a wall, and I think that happened like twice last season. So I mean, I didn't want it to happen, but I kind of wanted it to happen so Lewis could end up on third. I mean, on the podium, but it was still good racing between the three of them.
Yeah. But as I was saying when it just left temporarily there, I am very happy to see a change in the top 10. Of course, I'm feeling it from a boy Sonoda. Sonoda has been very solid so far. But
Yeah.
happy for the stalwarts, the names that I know. Big up my boy Ocon, Gasly, Ricardo. And as I was saying just now, Michael, that I don't know that guy. He was new to me, but the guy was really, it was going around on social media, of course. The guy who was critiquing and really bashing Ricardo very badly. And then Ricardo
Guys,
said,
I think
okay,
that was Jacques. I think it was Jacques Villeneuve.
yeah, I'm sorry guys if I'm a noob, I really don't know. I was like, who's this guy about something?
He's a former world champion. He's a Canadian. And yeah, he went in hard on Danny Rick, like,
God,
and
Jesus
at the
Christ.
end, I was like, slap slippers, emotional damage.
Yeah. But at
He
least
went in
Ricardo
hard
had the
on Danny
last
Rick.
laugh. Ricardo had the last laugh, at least. Because I mean, he up many points, take that. No man, that was harsh, bro. Gosh, boy.
I mean, it was, but I guess it motivated him because look where he ended up after such harsh reviews. So
Yeah.
maybe someone needs to bash him every weekend.
Every weekend. Oh gosh. But time to bash Lewis then.
No, Lewis' problem is he cannot Lewis. But I think honestly, this season is very reminiscent of 2016 Lewis at Mercedes versus Nico Rosberg. And there was a lot of talk of inside undoings in that. I remember it really well. So it was 2016. It's kind of more or less the first year or first full year I started watching Formula One, and Lewis' car was in a mess in the sense that it had the most failures it ever had before. Things were just going bad, and at mid-season they actually switched mechanics, meaning to say Lewis mechanics went across to work on Nico's car, and Nico's mechanics came across to work on Lewis's car to try and quell the rumors or what was seeming to be somebody sabotaging Lewis' car. And oddly enough, after they did that, Lewis's car seemingly worked a lot better. Lewis said he will write a book about it one day. But we had to wait. We had to continue to wait for that book. But I'm eagerly awaiting it to see exactly what happens. But what happened? But I feel like with Lewis announcing that he's leaving, maybe, not maybe, Mercedes is prioritizing George. At the end of the day, that's his future. I guess in an ideal world or in a hopeful, in an ideal situation or somewhere in my imagination, Mercedes would have continued to favor Lewis just so that they could end off on a high, meaning to say they had the greatest pairing of driver and team for a span of 8 years, bringing them 8 constructors titles, 7 drivers, 8 constructor championships, which is a feat in itself. And so in this last year to really treat Lewis the way they're treating him, it breaks my heart. But it also goes to show just how little Mercedes thought of him. And you're only gonna miss what you had till it's gone. True. So they're gonna feel it next year, I think, Mercedes. Because I guess they always just saw Lewis as a quote-unquote star boy, he'll jump in the car, drive it, and that's that. But when it is he tried to switch from this, okay, cool, I'm no longer just a driver, but listen to me listen to me when I tell you this is not the direction to go with the car. They didn't want to listen to him because I guess they just saw him as a driver. They didn't see him having that influence in how well the car could be developed, like drivers like Michael Schumacher as well as Niki Lauda did, in that these guys will jump in a car drive it for a bit, and they will go back in the garage. And Niki Lauda is famed for saying he drove the Ferrari a couple laps, pulled over, and said the sky shit, and told them exactly what they needed to do to fix it. And the car eventually got better, and they were able to win championships and stuff. So I think Lewis transitioned into that whereby he has been in the sports for so many years. He now understands so much more than just driving. I mean, and all of these drivers understand some level of engineering of the cars, if not to some level of detail, but in a very general sense. Because at the end of the day, in order for them to extract the most out of it, they need to truly understand the machinery that they're handling. So I think they disrespected him in that they didn't listen to him when it's saying this is not the direction we should take. That whole cockpit situation last year, whereby they had moved the cockpit forward and it was disconnecting Lewis's feel of the back tires, which I mean goes to his driving style, but we also show that it just wasn't a good concept altogether. So it's sad that that's how things are coming to an end, but it is what it is. Lewis actually said he doesn't see himself beating George in qualifying this year at all. And he believes, I mean, although he didn't say somebody sabotaging me, the team is sabotaging him. Because if it is, we look at Canada, he was on in Q1, he was on in Q2, and then in Q3, he's off. That's not like him. And I don't believe it's just, oh, well, you know, he had a bad Q3 because it's been happening so often. And the fact that he could say he's not going to, it means that, okay, cool. He's showing them, yes, the car can perform. And then maybe in Q3, they turn on the power a little bit, which is something they can't do. So, I mean, we'll never know the true internal details. I don't think it's wise of Mercedes to do something like that because at the end of the day, it's just going to hurt their performance in the long run as it relates to the championship. But at the end of the day, politics is politics. And you don't always seem to make the wise decision. I see Fantasy Hub saying Jacques Villeneuve needs to roast Danny Rick every week to get that performance out of him. And yeah, same thing I say.
Well, Ocon had to get roast too. A lot of them had to get roast. Gasly had to get roast. Well, Ocon and Gasly.
When I first said it, I thought he was talking about Lance. And I was like, if anybody deserved it, yes, Lance deserves it. And then when I started to read Twitter and I saw, okay, cool, no, he was talking about Danny Rick. I was like, damn.
Yeah. Okay. We have another comment here on the Instagram. So I want to thank everybody for watching so far. Please head across to YouTube, smash the like button, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate the love. Oreo Songbird says Max gonna win again, but I would like to see Carlos win for the home soil, win on home soil. Same with Fernando. All right, so Oreo normally have a prediction podium. So I'm guessing for you, you will say Max, Sainz, and Fernando. We'll take that. We'll take that. Now, I want to talk about him when we start talking about Spain, right? Anything else on Canada GP before we move on to Spain, Mike?
Anything else about Canada? I think it just shows that McLaren is on it right now since they brought those upgrades. Clearly, the car is working. It's really good to see them up there. I think as a Mercedes fan, it gives me a better hope because it shows, okay, cool, our engine is good. The problem with Mercedes is the aerodynamic package that we have. But I love to see that McLaren is able to fight the Red Bull to some extent or stay with them. It makes me a better concern again is Ferrari. Ferrari dropped off completely from going on the higher Monaco of Charles winning his first home Grand Prix and breaking the curse to not even finishing the race. Because if you screw around, I think he DNF'd and Sainz finished outside the point, or he DNF'd as well, which is crazy.
Crazy. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 DNFs. So Carlos, Albon, Perez, Leclerc, and Sargent.
Because of accidents and stuff. So yeah, it's crazy that they went from the top of the wheel to bottom of the barrel now. So it shows that Ferrari still has some work to do. They got unlucky in a particular instance, but and I guess that shows you the brutality of the sport as well, that you can go from winning to literally being a zero. This was also a bad weekend for Perez in that, Red Bull is going to keep him on because I've been watching some episodes and thing from the race and stuff that they're more than likely going to keep Perez, but they're literally keeping Perez simply because he's not going to be a challenge to Max. And that's literally all they're doing, because Sainz is now looking for a seat. There were rumors that, maybe he might go back to Red Bull, but they ultimately decided against it because when it is both Max and Sainz were at Toro Rosso, apparently Carlos Sainz Sr. and Jos Verstappen would butt heads, and they don't want that drama. So you know what? Sainz finds someone else, and they're literally just keeping Perez because he could quote unquote keep the peace and bring that advertising dollar from Telcel. So I mean that's where the cookie crumbles. But I mean Canada on a whole was a really good race. It was entertaining. Weather played a massive part in the entertainment as it relates to mixing up the strategies. So I mean that also goes to show just how interesting the sport could get just simply by giving us submarine. It shows you who could drive, who can't drive. So I think overall, all in all, I would give Canada the award for best race of the season so far. Let's hope somebody could beat it. But yeah, moving on to Spain.
Well, I won't argue with that. I won't argue with that best race. My favorite race is still Monaco. Only because of the
history, yes, and Charles getting his first win, but if it is we talking racing and the actual race itself.
Yes, actual racing, Pong for Pong, and it was good entertainment. And all factors were there, like say rain, DNFs, accidents, everything was everything took part. It was a proper race, yes. But my favorite race, if you ask me, Monaco. Not just because of cars, but but it was just. I don't know, but it was just good. It was just good. The fact that
don't worry. One day we'll be on a yacht watching it from the sidelines doing a live show.
Telling you. Can't wait. Now, I have up 2023 results here for Spain, right? So we just a quick look back. So, of course, Max, Lewis, George, Perez, Sainz, Stroll, Alonso, Ocon, Zhou, Gasly, rounding off the top 10, right? Now, my question to you, could say, is what can this guy do in Spain this weekend?
At his home Grand Prix. So firstly, I would love for him to win. It'll be a beautiful way to leave his stint at Ferrari, having won his home Grand Prix. It will be a really nice way to solidify his bids at other teams. And really, I mean, everybody knows he's a great driver, but it will be really good for him to get a race win. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, he was the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race last year. So everybody knows his quality. And I really hope Ferrari could bounce back. So I think he has the ability to win. What is going to be the limiting factor is the car. Is the car going to be there underneath him? Mercedes was strong here last year because they had brought some updates. I'm not too sure if they're bringing updates this weekend. But Spain is always a race that they're very strong at, so we can see what happens. But I still expect Red Bull to be on it, the McLaren to be fighting hard, but it should be a really interesting race altogether.
Yeah. Now, well, of course, the most important thing when you're talking about F1, the weather forecast, right? so far, of course, so as we know, race weekend always starts on a Friday. Then we have Saturday, and race day is Sunday. So Friday is expected to be relatively humid with a gentle southwesterly breeze. There's 0% chance of rain across both sessions. Temperatures should be around 23 degrees Celsius, right, for both FP1 and FP2. And the BBC stated that the air temperature will feel around 27 degrees Celsius. Saturday, 22nd June, temperatures feel slightly warmer for Saturday's FP3 and qualifying sessions, reaching temperatures of around 24 degrees Celsius and feeling about 30 degrees Celsius, with humidity around 70 to 72%. A gentle southern breeze for FP3 will move southwesterly again for qualifying. There is no forecasted rain. Now, the day we care about, Sunday, 22 June, race day. Sunday's race is expected to be the hottest day of the weekend with a forecast of 25 degrees Celsius, although the humidity will be slightly reduced at 66% There'll be a gentle southern breeze and a 0% chance of rain. So great news there, Michael. That's what we like to hear.
Yep.
We don't like to. We'd like. I mean, obviously, we like a little rain, a little sprinkle of rain never hurt anybody.
Yeah, but I mean, Spain is usually very sunny race, so
Yeah.
nothing too out of the ordinary.
Nothing too out of the ordinary there. We happy with that. All right, let me bring up. All right, very happy to hear that. So good weather, good, and a good race expected to be on. And let's take a look at the tracks. Oh my God, let me bring up the track for you. But do you think business as usual for Max?
Business as usual. Yes, I mean he complained about the car in Monaco. Then he came to Canada, did his thing, took the race from start to finish. So I mean we'll wait and see, but more than likely it's gonna be Max. But I really would love somebody to challenge him. Let's get a little surprise somewhere. Because I really do want Sainz to, fight at the front, but I guess we'll see.
All right. Well, tell us what science has to do with this track. What is he what is he going to face here on this track? Break down this track first.
So the biggest overtaken point on this track is turn 1. Watching mark the highlights, turn 1 is where a lot of drivers made their move last year, dive bombing into turn 1. Whether going down the inside and then taking it, or even a couple guys went around the outside to then get the inside of 2. It's a beautiful corner. Last year, Lewis was able to take third from the start into turn 1. So it's definitely the major part. We're going to see a lot of overtaking, as well as that's turn 10. After that, DRS zone in the back straight. So lovely enough, this track has 2 DRS zones. So hopefully it can keep the cars closer together. Okay. Usually you don't have a lot of overtaking at Spain, but based on last year, there was a lot of overtakes. So I expect to see a lot more of that, even back in the midfield and such. So it can be really entertaining. So just to do a quick run of the full track. So we start across the start-finish straight on the main straight, which is the DRS zone. All the way down to turn 1, heavy braking, turn right, quick left. And it's a long right-hander of 3, breaking into 4, go around another right-hander, and then flick it left for turn 5. Turn 6 is going to be flat out, then breaking into 7 and 8. And then they're just going to tip off the power, kind of coast through. Turn 9, then on the power, DRS down into 10. And then the last sector, 10 is a quick thing. 11 going to be flat out more than likely. A bit of breaking into 12. And then straight from 13 to 14 is going to be on the power. Maybe a slight lift for 14 and then straight onto the power. Back down the main straight, open up the letterbox in the back of the DRS. And that's essentially the last of Circuit de Barcelona de Catalunya. This is a track that all the cars are I wouldn't say suited to, but this is where we do testing. So everybody's run the track already for the year with their car. So they have some level of idea to understand, okay, cool, this is how the car will perform. So it's going to see how to think. Last year, Lewis took Max, took the fastest lap of 1:16.33. It's quite possible that could drop this year. That'll be really good. I saw as it relates to strategy, a lot of teams will go for a one-stopper for 66 laps. So you might start on a medium and then switch to a hard somewhere around lap 20 or before that. What you could also see happening is based on the gaps. What Red Bull did last year is they stopped Sainz, although he was in second or third, to put him on soft to take away the fastest lap from Russell. So based on the gaps, they may play that game as well. But definitely it's going to be a very interesting race. So a lot of overtaking. There's going to be a fight, I wouldn't say at the front of the grid like where Max is, but definitely there could be fighting from 2 to 6th. between the Ferraris, the Mercedes, and the McLarens, which will be really entertaining. So I guess we'll wait and see.
What do you think about our boy Checo? Boy, you think no, Checo do. We all do something from Checo. You think he could do something here in all those historically
Checo
speaking
Wacko.
instances?
Checo has been really disappointing in the past
Yeah.
few races, to be honest. I don't know if it's a psychological game at this point as to what's going on. I would love for him to find back his fight, but I mean, Red Bull have forced him into this box of you are the Max Verstappen wingman. You are nothing but that. Um, Whether that's taken a toll on his mentals, quite possibly, because that would screw you. Because at the end of the day, all Formula One drivers do desire victory and tasting the championship and stuff and drinking the champagne. But I mean, when it is your team, the people are supposed to be supporting you and pushing you and backing you are the ones that have put you into this box. It's really hard to come out of there. He's already cost the team a lot of money in repairs based on the incidents he's had for the year. And I was surprised to hear that, they're going to keep him on because Red Bull is notorious for being quick to take the axe to their driver lineup and make changes mid-season, that kind of thing. But I guess they understand that doing any kind of changes could change the dynamic of what they currently have, whereby, Max is the boss and everybody respects that. I think the only way they could bring somebody in and maintain that is if they brought in Yuki. And I feel like they still take that risk because of how fiery Yuki can be. But I would love to see Yuki in a Red Bull to see what he could do. Because I think, honestly, what's limiting him at this point is that racing. Whatever the name they call that team.
Yeah. His weekend, yes.
I go to call them racing. Is whatever the name is Red. It's not even Red Bull. What it is?
VCAB.
Sober? Yeah, is it sober?
Visa Cash App Red Racing Bulls. VCAB.
Visa Cash App Racing Red Bull. Yeah, that Turkish name. Red Bull number 2.
Changing it soon. But good night, everyone. Sorry about that. So,
night, bro.
We'll caught up there. I think I kind of listened to everything. You all finished with the check-up point, or?
Well, I mean, and if you want to jump in and talk about who you think, so forget Max will win, but who will give Max the biggest challenge this race? Given as he's a fast track.
What I have appreciated so far this season is that every few races, a different team or different person pipe up a little bit and put in the name, the little claim in, So I would like to say, we've had kind of something I could kind of predict, okay, well, this one might do good or this one will do good. But it's been kind of a bit unpredictable. The only kind of pattern I've noticed is if a team pipes up a little bit, they pipe up for a few races.
Mm-hmm.
So based on the last race, I think Mercedes was up there. McLaren has been kind of up there most of the time. So I would say I think Oscar Piastri needs a shout this time soon. I think he's been doing well. He just, need a little bit of luck on his side. Maybe a little bit of rain. Who knows? Could be up there. But what I really found interesting in terms of fantasy side, this is the first of a triple header, right? And then I think we have a couple more till the summer break. They usually do some testing in Spain like a while back. This was one of the testing places. It's known as a really nice testing track because it has just a little bit of everything, fast corners, straights, all these different things. So what I would say is that I wouldn't particularly make too much big decisions this week. I might make any small changes for now, but in terms of like big decisions, I'll kind of use this as a litmus test to move forward into the rest of the time leading up until the summer break. I think some teams still bring small upgrades and stuff, but most of the major upgrades will probably happen after the summer break. So I think at this point, this race is a nice race to hold the extra. Don't go too aggressive in this race. That's me personally. I would just kind of wait and see. Okay, Mercedes say they're doing something. Does it translate onto this track? Could we see it as something moving forward? McLaren, they'll do well here. We can see how it goes. I think Ferrari has kind of died down a little bit, so maybe we see a resurgence this track. I'm not sure what happened to Carlos. Yeah.
Yeah, I bring up a very good point there with the fantasy tab already there. Of course, 3 straight races coming up, and then slight break, then Silverstone, and then blah again. All right, Hungary and all that coming up. We have to start discussing chip strategy, start planning out, mapping out what we doing, how we doing it. But so far, I must say, I don't think we've needed it per se.
Nah, that last race,
Maybe Canada.
the amount of people we could avoid losing some points for. Could I do a nice chip there?
Yeah, Canada could have been a nice limited or something. Not limited. Was the one with the one with all the DNFs and all the
Non-zero.
Yeah. That would have probably been good for Canada for sure. That would have been solid. All right. Well, we can still continue previewing. Are we looking at the team? So this is the team so far for the team 2, right? That's what we use for the community team, right? So Max, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Sainz, and Zhou. Something had to change, had to get a little rough up here. I know, fellas, what you want to do differently here? Who cheaply we could bring in that could handle the fast corners of Spain?
I think we do that injustice to ourselves not having Piastri in our team, but I don't know if the double McLaren is worth.
Well, you see, we discussed this at length in the previous show, Mike Lennon, because we say we could always get all the McLaren points from the constructor, because so far, the signs are that up to that point we're doing really well. Max doing well. They can't go around 1 or 2 times Max, and you never know, you might get one off something best from Hulkenberg and these guys.
I mean, if it is we could afford it, the person I would swap out would be Zhou for one of the Alpines, probably Gasly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they surprised me with points finishes this weekend.
10 points, yeah.
With Canada. I think Ocon definitely does not have the team support, so I'd faster pick Gasly.
Okay.
Does that say that the car is coming along? Maybe not, but definitely they only up and up to some extent. Or what it is we could do, change out the Williams for the Alpine and then just fill in driver.
Yeah. Ishmael, let me hear.
Who can we afford? Let me say we take the cheapest contractor we can get.
We can't afford anybody when you put in, because all we have is 14.6. So when you put in that, you'll have 5.
Yeah, 5 million. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we stick with Williams for now.
Even if
I guess somebody else who's in this situation now might be the time to play your wild card and you change up your entire team. If this was your only team,
right,
if it is,
and you have 3 straight races coming up. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
You just do over the team altogether. You probably put a Red Bull constructor with a cheap constructor, and then you fill in your drivers with maybe Norris and a Piastri, or Norris with a Danny Rick and a thing. Yeah. And you fill up the team that way, because that way you're going to get Red Bull points from both Max and Checo. And then this is you just pull points from everywhere else.
Well, you want to do that? You see problem with that? You want to bust the wild
I
card?
know
Or-
that's just me thinking strategy for somebody else, but I think this is still a solid
as
team.
as I mentioned before too, I would probably recommend we wait
Yeah,
the
use this as a
series
litmus test and see how
and
this
see
weekend goes.
how everybody going forward,
But then
and
we
then we
have
could
to stick with.
probably do a longer
Well, then we
show
have to
and
stick
do
with
a.
Williams. Yeah. We have to stick with what we have because there's no.
I'm not too
Oh,
mad at it though, 'cause I think it's still a pretty good team. I would say everything have potential for points there, except Joe don't have my confidence at the moment. But other than that, everything else is pretty good. I would say.
well, he rack up points recently. 6 points
Yeah.
in Canada, 2 points in Monaco, 5 in Italy. Taking that,
As long as
taking
it's
that.
positive,
Yeah,
I will take
I
it.
will. Yeah, I do think that's an issue there. I will. There's things to take. So I mean, I guess we'll fight up with this for now because even if we can't even get rid of Williams, there's no one. So there's no one solid to bring in for Williams. Can't. So yeah, I have to live with that for now. I'm definitely not dropping McLaren. McLaren too hot right now to drop. We
No,
backing our boy. We backing our boy with his home race. Carlos Sainz, give him the
yeah,
backing.
yeah.
You want to back him even harder and put it 2 times on him? No.
Um, it
No,
would be
it
a
might go.
good
It might go.
differential.
Keep backing him.
Nah, I think
I won't be mad
think
at it, but it would be a good differential. But is whether
I think keep it on max for now, and then next week we can make a decision to be differential.
All right. No, just testing, just asking, if you backing somebody, you gotta back him. Understand? Oh gosh. All right, hold on. Right, so we'll stick with we'll stick with this for now. We'll see how it works out. We'll monitor it. Right, Spain coming up, big race. We back in the homeboy, our homeboy here. Right, and of course Fernando Alonso, also one of the home drivers as well. How do we see him faring on this circuit? He had a nice race, Canada. What do we see him continuing that? He might go all out because it's home. What do you think?
yeah, I think home races really do make a difference.
I mean, because look where Stroll ended up last week. I was not expected to see Stroll there. But I guess he was home, so he had to express the local smallie sometimes. So.
The hate, man. Like, oh.
The only thing we had to consider with Spain is the home race for at least two drivers, which is Sainz and Alonso.
Right.
And they've always had rivalries. So God forbid they end up close to each other. They are going to fight tooth and nail on track. Because, I mean, Sainz has always been trying to prove himself as, I am the Spanish driver. And then Alonso magically reappear in Formula One. And at the end of the day, Alonso will always have his respect because he's a two-time world champion. Granted, he's not in a great car right now or a car that can challenge for the championship. He still has that bravado, that legendariness of him, so to speak. So Sainz has always compared himself to Alonso. I think Drive to Survive touched on it sometime. So it would be nice for Sainz to beat Alonso in a proper battle. But definitely if they end up close together, that is going to happen. They are going to fight.
I wouldn't like anything else. I think that will be lit. We'll love to see the fight and the challenge and the grit. All right, so Ishmael, let's hear your top three predictions. How are we looking? Top three podium predictions for this race.
Just before we close up there, just wanted to mention that the timing of the series is a little later than it usually would be. So I think the weather is a lot hotter than usual. So I think some teams have kind of toyed with a three-stop strategy. I think they'll be toying with it a little bit more. And I don't think it's an outright three, but I think there's possibility for a three-stop. And I also think there's possibility for the Durin, as you mentioned. So I think strategy-wise, we could get like a very different race than we usually would get. Top three, Max have to be one because he's the only person consistent enough at the moment. If we back him, let me back him. Carlos 2. And Piastri 3.
Okay, Michael.
Do I be realistic or be I be hopeful?
Well, I was all hopeful, so you could go your hopeful.
I'll be realistic, and then I'll sprinkle with a little bit of hopefulness. So realistically, Max first, hopefully, sign second, and realistically hopeful, Lewis third.
Hmm.
Why Lewis third is because one, it's a track that Mercedes has always excelled at. Um, it's a track that he loves, that he's won several times. So pair those things. Hopefully, we could put it up there. Um, Signs there because at the end of the day, this is his home race. I really do want him to get a podium or even a victory at his home race, especially with his in his stint here or coming to the end of this stint at Ferrari, because I truly believe when Lewis decides to retire, the first people Ferrari is going to call back his signs. Once he's available, Ferrari will take him back. But I guess you'll wait and see. But yeah, I would say that's my predictions. Max first, Lewis Sainz second, Lewis third.
I have a few questions, right, Michael? Because it's fast corners, right? Because it's a track as it's also you and Ishmael both mentioned. So that's a you'll both mention that. So there's something about that. The fact that this is a practice circuit for most of the most of the teams. Right? So Max should have the advantage here because of the machine and pieces cars, right? Should. It will play into his hands. This type of
Correct,
circuit
because
plays
of
into his
Red Bull's
advantage.
ability to run their car low and get the most out of the ground defense. Correct.
So once he is first from qualifying, he should be
You will just run
automatic.
away with it, yeah,
Right.
because Red Bull excels with the faster tracks as opposed to the slow ones. So that's why they struggled in Monaco, because of how
Right.
slow and
Right.
uneven the surface is. But definitely at more race-tracky tracks, they will excel. So I think here at Barcelona as well as Silverstone, Zandvoort, all the actual race tracks, they will do really well.
Okay, so I'll put him first. I'll put him first. So
You want to
Max
say Checo
first.
second?
Max, I would love to see Checo second. I really wish I could. I can't wait. I can't. I want to. I
Call
want
it, you know,
to.
call it. Call
I
it,
want
happen.
to.
I believe.
Because Checo due. He due. He have to do
Yeah,
something.
you gotta do something. Something.
And
happen.
maybe this might be the track. This might be the track. You never know. What I'll do, I'll play it safe. So Max first. I'll give Norris second, and I'll put
Yeah,
Checo.
good shout.
I'll put
Is
Checo.
that toss-up between Norris and Piastri at this point?
Yeah. I'll put Checo third and Piastri. Everybody else will come right behind Checo. I'll get Checo as a bit, maybe, but he has not had a lot of luck in Spain recently. So hopefully all that could turn around. I hope, right? Hoping. Michael, closing words on preview of Spain. Anything at all? Drivers are looking out for. Of course,
Spain.
you could plead up. You could say a prayer for Lewis. Anything you want to do at this point?
Spanish Grand Prix, Catalonia. It's always a fun track. There has been some historic moments of, you had that Lewis and Rosberg coming together. And actually, so coincidentally enough, when it is a driver was about to leave Mercedes, which was 2016, we didn't know it at the time. Rosberg and Lewis were fighting for the championship. Rosberg won the championship and eventually decided to leave Formula One after that and retire. They crashed at Spain, and Max actually went on to win his first Formula One race at Catalonia as a rookie in his rookie season. So the track has a lot of, how to put it, grandeur to it. It has a lot of history. So, I really would prefer history does not repeat itself, or at least not with the Mercedes drivers, and not with Max winning the race. But we'll wait and see. I think Spain is always an interesting race. Last year proved to be really entertaining with a lot of overtakes, so I hope for the same. I would say just watch the race, enjoy the sport for what it is. Red Bull were able to pull off some amazing pit stops last year, 2.2. I know Jared loves his pit stops. So watch the race in its entirety for what it is, the beauty of it. Yes, it can be a bit boring. Yes, Max drives and just runs away with it at some point. But don't lose faith in the sport as yet. The rules are going to be changed pretty soon. The order will get shaken up. There will be a whole new lineup and future and thing and such. So stay true to the sport, enjoy it, watch it, appreciate it, get vexed. Because, what else are you going to do? But as it relates to Barcelona itself, it's going to be a hot track. You're going to see drivers push themselves to the limit. You're going to see them jump with the car exhausted. If it is you have the coin to do it, get a F1 TV subscription. And when you're watching the race, tune into the different onboards. They may not always show it to the main feed, but with you jumping on board, you could see battles lower or further back a field and exactly what the drivers are doing. You could understand racing a bit better, getting a slipstream, knowing when to pull out, how to properly take a dive bomb up the inside or something like that. And just appreciate the sport for more than what it is of, okay, cool, this guy won, this guy lost, etc. And you'll begin to fall in love with racing and you'll branch off into other sports. Like weekend gone, there was the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which is an amazing race of engineering and driver ability and everything like that. And you have a ton of former F1 drivers competing in it, from Antonio Giovinazzi to Jenson Button to Mick Schumacher, and even some older guys and stuff. So watch the sport for what it is. You will fall in love with racing on a whole, and just enjoy it.
Yeah, big up. Ishmael, closing words. Talk to me.
I'll be short. Deadline. Happy pickings. Team Gerardo.
Yeah, don't forget that's all true. Big up the deadline and truth. I just want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks for the comments on Instagram. Thanks for our boy Rob for coming through on the chat. I appreciate that. Everyone, like, share, subscribe. Of course, you can check out our website as well, fbsportsmedia.com. We're going to have some articles there. You've seen a lot of cricket for now. Don't worry, they'll have other sports as well. And just look out for all our content that is here, there, and look out for some golf content as well too, covering any sport. If you have anything you'd like us to cover, we'll come through, right? And one of our colleagues on the panel here does. What's the proper term for it, Michael? I don't want to say the wrong thing. What's the proper term?
Proper term for?
What you're doing now, your sport that you are doing now, sir, that you are pursuing.
Powerlifting.
Yes, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Right, so we have a power lifter amongst us, so you never know, we will cover that, do some articles on that. Right, so anything at all that you have, want us to cover, fbsportsmedia.com. And that's it from us. Your two-time driver, obviously we Max, finished race from all 5 of your drivers finished. We have 2 constructors, not DNF. If you're using your chips, well, as Ishmael said, smartly, save your chips for maybe Silverstone a little later down the road. Right? Don't waste them yet. If you still have them, I haven't used them as yet. Happy picking, and we'll see you all in the next one. Take care, guys, and enjoy the race this weekend.